this is kind of diving deep into the well of the planning process that I have been using for quite some time, which is really awesome. So this is the part about how to look at a piece of one way, I should say, one way to look at a piece of music or a group of pieces of music to make it work. So as I said in the other session, what's the catch? You've got to figure out what about each piece of music is the thing that made you want to sing it with your children in the first place, or your adults, or whoever it is. So is it the rhythm? It does have a catchy rhythmic thing that goes to it. Is it the form? Is it canon? Is it an ABA? Is it a rondo? What is the form? And is that a way that you can help teach it, right? That's really the key, is how can I teach this piece of music in the most efficient and best way? And most fun for the kids. Is it the melody? And we're going to look at pieces that have all of these things as the catch. Or is it the text? Is it the beauty of the poetry, the beauty of the scripture? Is it the text that matches the thing that you're going to be singing, at which you're going to be singing? I should say it that way, right? So what's the deal? Why do you want to sing this piece of music with your kids? The magic formula that I shared earlier is that you need to divide your teaching up into 5, 7, or 10-minute segments of teaching, meaning that that's how the brain works, and we function best when we allow our brains to change every 5 or 7 or 10 minutes. Even adults are best, we learn best when we have something that switches in about that length of time. And so it can be any number of things that you switch. It can be the song. It can be a part of the song. It can be your body posture. It can be where are you in the room. It can be how are you standing, sitting, or kneeling, or whatever. You can change all kinds of different things. And so we're going to talk about that in just a sec. But that's the key, I think, in my personal opinion, is that if at the beginning you've divided your teaching of each piece into these kind of segments, then then it takes your preparation time weekly to a minimal. I mean, you can spend your time getting ready to do the music rather than thinking about how you're going to do the music. You've already done the how. Now you just have to copy and paste. Don't cut anything, save everything, but copy and paste, and then implement. The implementation is the fun part, right? That's why we do this, because we love singing and teaching people to sing. That's why we do what we do. This just makes it easier. All right, so this magic formula, plan your things, and you got to time yourself. I said that at the other one. I'm going to be frenetic until I get to the real new teaching here. But time yourself, or have someone time you. Have your parent helper or your 5th grade child time you as you're teaching for a couple of weeks, so you can kind of get an idea, how long does it take me to do what I'm doing? And if I thought it took 10 minutes, but it really only took 5, or if I thought it took 5 minutes and it took 15, then you have to kind of redo your segments, right? I'm pretty good. It's kind of funny. This last year I have had several rehearsals where my parents said, you stayed exactly on the time of your schedule, because I give them my minute-by-minute rehearsal plan. And I can't believe it. Like, you were exactly on time. I was like, I got this. I'm good. I got this down. So looking at the calendar, again, this is something I talked about earlier, but those of you that weren't here, I'm going to do it real quick. This is how I figure out how much rehearsal time do I have to teach the things that I want to teach, right? And so looking at this is the whole first semester. We start on the 26th, but it's our kickoff day, and so there's a parent meeting involved. And so that 50 minutes is truly more like 30 of rehearsal. But then I add that to the next week's 50 minutes, and then I add that to the next week. So as you can see, my total minutes of teaching time for the semester are 500. That is subtracting snack time, getting to their chairs, getting their folders, and worship time that I do. So does that make sense? So that really is the rehearsal minutes that I have. And as you can see also, there are 4 rehearsals before we sing the first time. And then there are 1, 2, 3 rehearsals before we sing the second time. And then there are just 1 rehearsal before we sing that next time. And then just 2 before we're in Christmas season, the Advent season. All right, we sing Christmas songs. So, what that means is that you've got to be teaching your Christmas things all along the way, right? When we know this, we grew up in choir. You start singing Christmas songs in September or August, and so we did the same thing. But this whole thing is to give you the idea that I've got 500 minutes of real teaching time with my choir. Now, how do I use those 500 minutes? So, we're going to start, and we're just going to do it for real, looking at each piece. And our little reading session is going to kind of be just going along. So, I'm going to do this, let's see how this works, and see if you like what I'm going to do. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you the first lesson that I have for this first piece. Does that make sense? So I'm going to take 5 minutes. Let's see if it works. Okay? I teach a cappella. I'm lucky right now to have a pianist that comes sometimes, but for years I didn't. I'd rather teach a cappella because that makes the children better listeners and better hearers, and it makes them tune better, honestly, just singing without any piano, and it also takes away any crutch that can be. So if you'll echo me, please. You may sit back now, but we're going to do up and back, which means, that's important for you to know too. Sit back but up means that you sit back and you're leaning your back against the back of the chair, but you're sort of tall. But sit up tall means you're on the edge of your chair. And so we do a little Jack in the Box thing where you're sitting back first. When it's my turn to sing, when it's your turn to sing, you sit up, okay? On the edge of your chair. So it's my turn to sing, so you're sitting back. It is good to give thanks to the Lord. Your turn, sit up and ready to sing.
It is good to give thanks to the Lord.
And most of the time, the kids are going to be looking up at me, even though they've got their music in their hand, they're going to be looking up at me, right? Because they usually do. The music is there, they can look at it, so most of the time they're looking. And when I sing, they look down. But when they sing, they look up. So back in the back you go. It is good to give thanks to the Lord. Your turn to stand and sing.
It is good to give thanks to the Lord.
It is good to give thanks. It is good. It is good. Ready, sing.
It is good to give thanks to the Lord.
Thank you. To sing praises to your name. Ready, and sing.
To sing praises to your name.
Praises. Ready, go.
Praises.
To sing praises to your name.
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 To sing praises
Yes.
to your name.
I heard a couple of Texas draws in there. Did y'all hear them? Praises. Okay, just a little bit. So, just, you can, and did you see how quickly it fixed? Do it the wrong way or the other way. No, nothing's wrong. Do it the other way and then do it the way that you really do want it. Does that make sense? And that's on the fly. You have to hear it. You have to be listening to hear those things. Did you notice anything that we did at the end of the word Lord when we sang it?
Emphasize the D.
Say again?
Emphasize the
The D, that's right. I call it a duh moment. And once you call it a duh moment, they'll always know what you're talking about. We're going to have a duh moment right there, right? And they'll go, duh! And then that's it. Did anybody notice anything we did at the end of the word name? We had a moment, didn't we? Okay, so name. Okay, the fancy word for that, boys and girls, is a shadow vowel. But we're just going to call it a moment and a duh moment because it's more fun. All right, here we go. Like when you get grown up, they'll call it a shadow vowel. Here we go. Ready? But you'll know what it really is. Ready? So that's what you do. So here we go. Let's do it again. Ready? Beginning. 1 and go.
It is good to give thanks to the Lord, to sing praises to your name.
Most high. And sing.
O Most High.
Very good. And high with a little E at the end, right? Where you hold that ah the whole time. You gotta go high, high. Try it with your hand. Ready? Go.
High.
Because this is a sign for E, and so if you do the sign for E, when you do the actual E, then it cuts it off. It's a little bit of a cutoff. It can be a conjunction gesture. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, so what you just did is what I would do as an introduction to that song. Very first week we ever see each other. Right there, just what you did, okay? That's it. So that took a couple of minutes, maybe less than 5, I don't know. But now, this is not the way I would teach, but let's sing through this whole song. This is a great song if you don't know it. Ready? And does anybody here play piano? better than me? Because you probably do. Yes, do you want to come play? Yes. Thank you, because thank you. I'm so excited. Yay. All right. Yay, squeaky.
It is good to give thanks to the Lord, to sing praises to your name, O Most High. For you, O Lord, have made me glad by your work, and the works of your hands have seen for joy. It is good to give thanks to the Lord, to sing praises to your name, O Most High.
Something's changing.
As the grass and wicked grows, evildoers do not know the end is true, and they will see that God will reign eternally. All foes will fall before his eyes, the wicked shall be put to flight. It is good to give thanks to the Lord, to sing praises to your praises to your Most High. The righteous soul will flourish well, and in the house of God will dwell. He will be planted like a tree, but still in old age fruit for me. The Lord is upright, just. He is my rock, He is my trust. It is good to give thanks to the Lord, to sing praises to your name, O Most High.
Thank you. Oh, very nice. So, wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so a couple of things just quickly that are important to me in teaching this piece. If you notice, of course, it's a rondo, and you'll note that that is my favorite form. Because it's so easy, you can take it and you can say, okay, kids, what we just learned. Remember that first bit that we learned? Does that happen anywhere else? And they go on a hunt and find, and they find it. Oh my gosh, Miss Terrie, it's on page 3, blah, 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 measure 19. And then where else is it? And then somebody else gets to say, oh yeah, there it is, it's blah, 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 where's the next one? Oh yeah, it's on page 5, measure 46. And then where's the next one? Blah, blah, blah. So they can find it. And so what we've discovered is that in that 3 minutes of teaching that I did a minute ago, I've taught like 3/4 of this song. It's already done. And if you want to add the canon, that's the easy thing to add. You can easily use that canon. Oh, that's not fun. So sorry about that. I don't know how to turn it off. I'm sorry, but I've got it down to nothing on the sound, so forgive me for that. If you want to add that descant thing that happens at the end, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It depends. If I'm singing this on that September date, I'm not going to add that part because I don't have time. Okay, but if you wanted to bring your, older kids out for 5 minutes and teach them that little bit, that'd be great. I love the fact that it goes from major to minor, right? That's kind of cool. And I also love the fact, and we do a lot of this thing, diction to me is super important. And so at the top of 4, there's all these g and k sounds, grass, wig, could grow. So we do a lot of work on those. And then doers do not know, right? So we do those D's and the T's, of course, and endless, right? There's a lot of D. And then the next page, on page 5, is the F, right? Foes, fall, for. So we figured those little things out, and guess what? It also helps them remember those words if they've got that consonant thing that they've really practiced. So now let's take a look at your handout, and let's just say real quickly what we're doing here. Okay, so the first couple of minutes, it's up and back. That's the posture. That's where, remember, we sat back and then we sat up. Just when it's your turn to sing, you sit up when it's my turn to sing, you sit back, teach the dun-dun moment, echo sing 4 to 18. 10 minutes. Okay, so that's gonna happen not right away. That's gonna happen either later in this rehearsal after I put other sandwiched things from other songs in there. But later on, and maybe that's first rehearsal, maybe the second week, it's gonna be 10 minutes of sitting up tall. We're gonna review what we already know, because they know it. And if they weren't here the first week, they'll catch it. It's pretty quick, that one. And then they're gonna find it. That's the search and discover part. I'm gonna put them to work. They can sit back, but they're gonna find it. And it's always a contest to see who raises their hand first, okay? And it adds, and they will also tell you the things like what happens extra. Like, Miss Terrie, it looks like there's 2 parts, and one starts first and the other one starts second. And I'm like, what's that called? It's called the canon, you know, so they get the idea. They've learned these things, lots of them. If they haven't learned them at school, they learn them from us, so we just have to do it. All right, another time later in the rehearsal, after other things have happened, we spend another 10 minutes. Oh, we stand up tall and sit back. Okay, so it's another echo sing, but it's standing up tall and sitting back. This time we're gonna sing a little bit of the B section, and then we're gonna talk about rondo. Many of them, especially your 4th and 5th graders, that's part of their curriculum at school. If they're having music, some of my students don't have music at school at all, and I'm like, and they go to private schools. So they're paying a lot of money and getting no music at school, which just, I just like think, oh, why? That's why they come to us. We have to remember that some of our kids, that we're it, and we gotta do it. And so we talk about what a rondo is, and we mark it on the board, and they look at it and they go, oh, I see, oh yeah, that's that part we already know, that A that keeps coming back. And so then they'll sing the A and B, and I'll sing the C. So they're kind of hearing the whole song at that point, but I'm not teaching it all. Some of the teaching that I do is just them hearing it, right? It's the C that you plant, and you just wait, and you don't go into it all the time. I never teach a whole song at once, never. I don't ever do that, because it would, I just don't do it. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm slow. That could be it. So anyway, does that make sense? Then there's 5 more minutes where they're standing tall. And when we stand tall, if you've got these tiles, they're perfect, because you put 1 foot on one edge and 1 foot on the other edge, and that's your shoulder width apart. If you don't have tiles, just help them. If they're going like this, that's too far, right? And they will have to learn how to do that. So you stand tall, your hands are down, except if you're holding your music, which you are, you'll be doing it like this. Did they save a penny on this one, or does it have a staple? Staples? Yay! They spent the penny. That's a big joke that we have in my choir. It's like they'll always look at the music first day and they go, they saved a penny, no staple, because it's all falling apart, and you know, it's a joke we tell, and it's kind of true. So, like I said, in this 5-minute one, teach the canon part. If you want to, during a snack or a break, take the 5th graders out and teach them that C section that maybe you're not going to have time to do with the whole choir. Then put it together. The choir sings all this. The C section of small group sings it, blah, 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 da-da-da. But do you see what I've done? I mean, I just take that song and I break it up into those minutes worth of teaching sections. Now, the critical thing is that if you remember that calendar, I've got 500 minutes. So what if some of this takes longer? You can leave something out. You can leave something out. Or you can think 500 minutes, I really only should plan for 400 minutes of teaching, because it may be 100 minutes that I go over. Or if somebody throws up. I mean, you know, sometimes your rehearsal gets interrupted by things you aren't planning. And, you know, we have to take a break and clean up and move to a different room or whatever. That doesn't happen very often, but it has happened before. On Palm Sunday, in the sanctuary, actually. Yes, because Dad thought it was a good idea to take their child, before they came to choir, to the donut place and let them eat 5 donuts. It happened. It happened. It didn't happen again, but it happened once. Oh, it was awful. Okay, so in the choir loft. So the choir was coming, the chancel, so this is the introit. And then the chancel choir is coming down the aisle, and the building team is walking in. I mean, like 3 of them. mops and, you know, they got it and they got out of the way before the chancel choir got there. It was
Impressive.
something to be seen. It's probably on a video somewhere. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to move on. Just, can we look at Come Let Us Sing, which is this one. Does it look like this that you have it? No, it looks different? Okay. Blue. Come let us sing to the Lord. Yep, does that look familiar to you? Guess what we're going to have? Look at the first line and tell me what we're going to have here. We're going to have a dumb moment. Yeah, you are. Are we going to have any? Oh, what do you think on the second line we're going to have? A no moment. Yes, you are. Oh my gosh, y'all so smart. And yes, and you can ask them that, and that way they're already looking, right? Because part of what we do is music literature. Music, is that what it would be called? Music literacy. Wrong word. Started with the right word, but it ended up different. But we have to teach them a little bit of musical literacy, because that's, like I said, they're with us. Some of them only get us for music, and some of them don't get music at school in their hands. Does that make sense? And so I give my kids music, and whatever I have to do, if I have to have bake sales or whatever to afford it, I want every one of my children to have a thing in their hand that is the music. Not a copy, not a word sheet. That's important to me as a teacher, because I want them to know that it's important, and we talk about it. How much did this piece of music cost? Well, mine cost 95 cents. What did yours cost? $1.95. Oh yeah, $1.95. I know, my 24 Italian art songs, was like $5, $4.95, and now it's whatever. Yeah, I know, I'm old, and it's all good. But to me, it's important for them to have this in their hands, and that's up to you, of course. But and it also allows this composer, who happens to be a friend of mine, Jody Lynn, to keep doing his work. Because if we don't buy it, or we just buy one copy for us, but they're just kids that don't really need the music, go ahead, if you can. And it allows him to keep doing his work, because he then gets paid for having done this amazing work however many years ago, 1989? Anybody not born yet? Okay, no you weren't. Okay, good. Okay, good. Love it. Okay.
8 years later.
I was a mother already, okay? Let me just say, I had been born for a long time before then. So, let's just do, I'm not going to do the echo singing thing, because I want you to see something else. Let me see what I want to do. Well, maybe we just sing this one. Let's just sing this one. But let's take a look at it. Let's see it, take a look. So look at the beginning. Come, let us sing to the Lord. Make a joyful noise to the God of our salvation. This is a rhythm. To me, this is a rhythm catch, right? Come, let us sing. Then lots of K's. Come, let us sing to the Lord. Make a joyful noise with songs of praise. So you've got short, you've got syncopation, and you've got this long, amazing A vowel, right? So you've got to work on that A sound. And then you've got a couple of high notes. So to sing an E vowel on an E, you've got to drop the jaw. So you have to practice that, because otherwise it's going to sing to the Lord a new song, and that is not attractive. Sing to the Lord a new song, and you can't punch it, you've got to sing through it, right? So let's try that, and we're going to take our hands and we're just going to go, sing to the Lord a new song. Okay, one way this way, or whichever way you want to do it. Doesn't matter to me. But rainbow arm, whichever way you want to go. Ready, and go. Sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord, everyone. Sing to the Lord, bless his name. Tell what God has done. And there's your nut moment again, right? So we do a lot of movement like that, and usually I would have them stand to do that, maybe to give them a rest from sitting. But isn't that awesome? And the trick to that too is that the first sing on the high E is an eighth note, and the second one is a quarter note. Sing to the Lord. You got to make make sure, you know, that's something that you just have to teach from the beginning. You can teach it with T's and T's on the board, on the whiteboards, which there's a blackboard over there, right there. Oh my gosh, some of it's showing. But, and that would be an opportunity to take the kids to the board, right? Go to the board, everybody goes, sits crisscross, you write on the board, we do some rhythm stuff. But then can show the difference, put the words on it, put it on staff, and show them what they're doing. That it's the same note, but that one time it's an eighth and the next time it's a quarter. Does that make sense? Okay? And then you kind of go on, blah, 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 da, da, da. Oh my gosh, look at the bottom of page 5. What happens from on the bottom line from measure 36? Yes, there's a key change. Your piano students will be like, or your, you know, Suzuki flute violin people will be going, it changes from G to B flat. You're going, oh my gosh, yes, you're exactly right. Wow, but is there anything else that's different? The words are a little bit different. It's a little different little section. That must be the C section, right? Okay, and in my music, I would have written in all the little section of the A's, B's, and C's and things so that I can teach it to them. That with that in my head, they don't usually write that stuff in. I don't give my kids pencils in 1st through 5th grade because they're just weapons. So in junior high, yes, I would give 6th graders, yes, I give them pencils, but not these little ones. Okay, so shall we try this one? Do you mind playing again? Or would anybody else? I mean, you know, I don't want to. Okay, thank you. You're elected. It's unanimous. And thank you for giving us this gift. Sure. Wow. We're lucky. So it's about 1, 2, and 2,
Come, let us sing to the Lord. Make a joyful noise to the God of our salvation. Come, let us sing to the Lord. Make a joyful noise with songs of praise. Sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord everyone. Sing to the Lord and bless His name. Tell what God has done. Come, let us sing to the Lord. Make a joyful noise to the God of our salvation. Come, let us sing to the Lord. Make a joyful noise with songs of praise. Sing to the Lord, lift up your voice.
Let's look at that just for a second. So you sing the same note that you just sang on praise, but it changes, the tonality changes. So, sing to the Lord, lift up your voice. And of course it happens on a page turn, because it makes it impossible to read it. So here we go. Let's now start at measure 38. Ready? And sing.
Sing to the Lord, lift up your voice, praises all around. Sing to the Lord with all your heart, make a joyful song. Come, let us sing to the Lord, make a joyful noise to the God of our salvation. Come, let us sing to the Lord, make a joyful noise with songs of praise, songs of praise, songs of praise. Come, let us sing.
And then at the end, sorry. So thank you again. Oh, fabulous. Yay. We're so lucky. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming today. Okay, so on that last little page, let's look at page 7 just for a second. Songs of praise. Rather than just repeating it exactly, what could we do differently? And I would ask the kids this. I would ask the kids, what could we do differently between measure 56 and make it different from measure 59?
Change the dynamics.
You could change the dynamics. Absolutely. What else?
You got the 2 parts.
You've got 2 parts, that changes at the bottom, correct? You could change the tempo, you could, and we would try those things, and we would probably find that changing the tempo at that point, even though it's possible, would be different and difficult. But I like the kids to experiment with that stuff, because then guess what? They're willing to experiment with other things in their life that are healthy. Let's say it that way. Sorry, that may, but yes, I would probably change the dynamic. I'd probably make the second one an echo, and then bring it back for the third one, right? Okay, and then the bottom line, come let us sing. You've got to open the mouth on that sing. It can't just be. So that's the thing on that, right? And a good NG, a nut moment, right? And that's a little tricky because it's not a g moment. It's not a hard G. It's that NG thing that we do here that they don't do in Long Island, right? So we've got to do sing, right? Not g, right? Anyway, you get the idea. And they will do that hard thing, and then you just have to fix it. You just have to fix it. Just like a duh moment. They'll take that and kind of go over with it, overboard. After, 2 minutes, at the second time. And so anyway, so that's that. Okay, so let's take a look real quick at the handout again. Ready, Z on praise. Yeah, praise. And you can flip that R if you like. They kind of think they're fancy when they do a flipped R. And anything that we can do to help them feel fancy is important, right? The A section is all about the consonants. Find the rest of them. Again, it's about helping them to take a look at the music all the way through and find those things that they already know. Then we look at the C. I kind of do things out of order on this one, and I'm not exactly sure why. Probably because that B section is the minor one. So I go ahead and do the C section next. Do the rainbow arms on those high notes. Same thing. Notice the postures, and we'll talk about this in a second when I show you an actual lesson plan. But sometimes I have to alter those postures that I originally planned because of what comes before it in the actual rehearsal. Does that make sense? You don't want them standing tall for two things in a row, or sitting, or saw sitting for 2 things in a row, right? You want to alternate their posture. All right? And then this thing that I said in the next one is about singing the A section, listening to the B section. So I'll just go on and I'll sing the B section for them. Now, the thing, listening is not just passively listening. It's what I like to use the thing that I call active listening. It involves 5 different things. And after the first time I tell it to them, then they have to remind me what the 5 things are, okay? But once they've learned them, they have them. And it might take the whole group to remember them all. How awesome. Okay, so, I know that song. All right, yeah. Do you mind closing? Yeah. No, you're doing too much. You already played 2 songs. Oh, okay, so the 5 things that are involved in active listening are your eyes, you're looking at the music. Your finger, you are following along either the notes or the words. Some of the kids are going to look at the notes because they're piano players. Some of them are going to look at the words because they're readers, right? So eyes, finger, your brain because you're thinking, your ears because you're listening, and your mouth. You're moving your mouth to the words. Even if you're looking at the notes, you're moving your mouth to the words, but you're not making sound. That is active listening. So they're going, while I'm actually doing the singing. Does that make sense? But if they can remember those 5 things, guess what you've just done? You've activated your visual learners, you've activated your oral learners, you've activated your kinesthetic learners because they're touching something, and you've told them to use their brains, which we all need to tell our children more often. Use your brain. And they're moving their mouth as well, right? They're not making noise with it, but they're kinesthetically moving their mouth. So active listening is super important, I think, in my teaching it is. So anyway, I try to make jokes sometimes to the children. What do we not know yet? Oh, measure 17 to 25. What do you think we should call it? The H section? And they all go, Miss Terrie! It should be the B section. Oh yeah, duh. Okay, because it comes right after A. So anyway, and coda. Y'all, my kids love songs that have codas because one of my favorite stories is what coda is. Coda is Italian, and it means tail, like on an animal, like the rat or the squirrel or the cat. And here's and they're like, so what does it have to do with music? And I go, well, because the coda is the tail end of the song, and it's sort of like the rest of the song, but there's something different. And I think, and they look at me and I go, okay, think about a squirrel. It's got fur on its tail. It's the same color as the rest of it, but it's different, right? And they go, oh yeah, it's the fuzzy part. Yeah. So it's the same. It's made of the same stuff, but it's just a little bit different. And so they immediately will recognize a song that has a coda, and they'll start telling me before I even ask. Miss Terrie, I believe that must be a coda at the end, you know. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. So anyway, it's just good for them to know these little things in a way that's fun for them to learn and remember, but that really does stick into their brain. Okay? I think that's good, right? You understand that? Kind of what I did there? All right, let's look at how can I give you thanks. Mark Patterson. This is a melody song, right? I mean, he just does beautiful things with melodies. And this is one that I have used several years, not in a row, but along in the last 20, that is so good for November, because we're just thinking about being thankful, and I always tease the kids, because I'll start teaching this, and one of the older ones will go, Miss Terrie, is this the one that's going to make our moms cry? Yeah, this is probably the one, because there's always got to be one of those every year, right? Is this the one? Yeah, this is probably the one. Because it's just so beautiful, right? So let's just sing this one. She's coming back. She's like, I'm not going to make eye contact. I'm not going to make eye contact.
There she is.
One thing before we begin, anytime you've got a tied note, or even a note that's longer than a quarter note, basically we got to do something with it, right? Musically, we've got to grow on it just a little bit. And so, in this, why did he write it as 2 quarter notes tied rather than as a half note? I think it's because he wanted us to make sure we did something with it. Because if you see a half note, you just kind of, okay, 2 beats, whatever. But if you see this dotted chord, it kind of makes you go, oh, it's more on that second one. How can I give you thanks, O Lord, that you made the stars that shine so bright? How can I give you thanks? So we will work, and the children will do a crescendo with their hands. And I always have to think about their point of view. This is a crescendo, right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, because in my point of view, this is a crescendo. Okay, so I always have to do things backwards. But and they will do that. How can I give you thanks? Which is good for singing too, because it kind of involves the lower part. So anyway, that's what we do on this. It's just so beautiful. And then it continues. Oh Lord, you are. There's another one, right? It's a dotted note. Wonderful. There's the tie again. Beauty. And I haven't asked Mark if that's why he did it, but someday I will. I'll be brave and I'll ask him, why did you write those as tied quarters? Because of a mistake that's just brilliant, that just happened to happen. So anyway, you get this. Again, it's another rondo on Are You Surprised? Don't be, because they're all, pretty much all. I love them. Here we go.
Wonderful.
partner so that they recognize it when they hear it. And then I'll often ask, can we have that be the processional hymn? Usually my kiddos sing at the introit, and then the choir comes down. And so then they can sing it as they're walking out, and recognize that it's part of our hymnody. Okay, does that make sense? So, thank you so much. And this piece, I like the goes that you get to do, gift or grace, right? You've got several times where you've got really important G's. Gives, so much gives to me. All those G's, I like to bring those out. And it's one of those things that if you really make them do it, you keep going back, not letting them just sing it without the really good part, that'll become part of them, and it'll start to become a little bit more natural to them, and they'll do it automatically eventually. And the older ones, I have, especially at the beginning of the year, I have a 5th grader or 4th grader sitting between each first, I'll have a 1st grader, 5th grader, 1st grader, 4th grader, 1st grader, 5th, so that they can kind of be giving them that kind of example, right? And again, just teaching it, you've got to just teach it. And you have to ask them. Again, I try to, in my teaching, ask more questions than I just feed answers, right? So what do we need to do on this to make everybody understand what our words are? What do we need to do at the top of page 5? Measure 20, measure 20. What can we do so that people will understand what we're saying? Because then I'll show them what I just heard. That you would give such gifts to me. Well, it sounds like you would give such ifs to me. What does that mean, right? And I say, well, maybe we should put the good on, And yes, that's the answer, right? So give them the example of what you hear, and if they're not doing what you want them to do, show them what they're, show them by doing it, quote, incorrectly, and then say what needs to happen. Or give them the A and the B. When you go get your eyes checked and you go A or B. Well, give them the A and give them the B and see which one they like better, or which one sounds better to them. And they'll always pick the prettier one, the right one. They're so smart, they will always do it. They just don't know to do it the first time, that's all. Okay? They're super smart, but they just don't know. All right. Like all of us at some point, right? We're all super smart, we just don't know. All right, so actively listening, if you'll look at the lesson plan for this one, can you remind me what time we're done?
I think you have 15 minutes.
Is it, shoot, it's really over at 2?
2:15.
Is
It's over
right?
2:15.
Or
Then
2:15.
if you're done
2:15
2:15,
is
you have
better.
30 minutes. Yes.
2:15 is better. Okay, good. And because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not there. Okay, so let's take a look. So they spa sit and they actively listen. So they're sitting back. Spa sitting, did we talk about that?
No.
Oh gosh, okay, sorry. That's their favorite. It's where you lean back, you like sit in your chair. Thank you, sorry. You do this. Oh man, I fear the spa. Yeah, okay. And they still have to be actively engaged with their brains, but it lets them just relax in a little bit different posture. And of course, we talk about going to the spa, and the boys are all like, what? And the girls are like, I know, I got my mani-pedi the other day. Okay, whatever. Little go.
You have 3 different positions, the back position, the forward position.
More than that,
the
yes.
position.
So, I'm sorry, I'm gonna borrow your chair. Sorry, thanks. There's probably 4 or 5. Let me look. Okay. Up tall is edge of their seat. They get 3 inches for their studio. Feet have to be flat, and it's 6 feet on the floor. The 4 legs of the chair and their 2 feet. That's really important because they'll do the leaning thing and break their teeth, or they'll do if you've got the little rail across the thing, they'll put their feet up on that rail, and then they're falling. So 6 feet on the floor, and they always have to. You always tell they're just going. And then they look and they go, oh, the 6. Then again, the 5th graders will say, y'all, it's the 5th. The 4 chairs, 4 feet of the chair, and your 2 feet. Okay, so that's up tall. This is back but up. So you're still in a good singing posture, but it's different, and they get to rest their back. Standing tall, standing like a kid, and we have to practice that because I just want them to know that that's different than standing tall. So I say, okay, stand like a kid and look at your music. Okay, so they can do that for me, and then no, it's time to sing, stand tall. Spa sit. What else is there? Up tall, back but up. Spa sit. Well, and then whatever you want to do on the floor. there can be crisscross, applesauce, the double V, you know, if you're on the floor. I have chairs in my room, but it's only because the Sunday school class that is in the class right before me has chairs. We have shared space, we don't have the one room, yes.
We had dugouts that.
Oh,
to
that's
listen.
cute.
Boys like that, you know, just sit forward and really just kind of listen to something.
I like that. Okay, so write that one down, that's a good one. Dugout sit, that's good. Ooh, I'm stealing that, huh? Okay, well, we have to share, because, right, I mean, that's cute, that's really cute. I like it. Up and back is where they go back unless they're singing, and then they sit up tall. And so and sometimes I'll do stand up and sit down when it's an echo thing, just to get them up and moving. You can always tell, and sometimes I just have to do it on the fly. If I can tell they're getting sleepy or not interested for a minute, then we change something and make it something crazy fun. And yeah, there are other things that I throw in sometimes as necessary, like crazy eights. Do y'all do crazy eights? It's where you do 8 of something and you count, and you start slow, so you like 8, 2, 3, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3. You know, you do 8 things of whatever it is. Whatever, you know, pat your head, clap, 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 whatever you want to do, and then you start speeding it up. And it goes faster, and you got to involve the feet. You know, and first, 5, 6, 7, which at the end is 1, 2, you know, gets real fast. So you go really, really, really fast. So we'll do a crazy eights if we need a wake up moment. Sometimes if you've got a longer rehearsal, you need a couple of those. And just moving around the room, and we'll talk about this too. Sometimes it's go to the board, make a big circle. We move, we dance to the music sometimes. If it fits that, if you've got a waltz, you've got something in 3, that's a great opportunity to do a little dance.
How do you efficiently get them to change their positions, like if you have a circle and?
How do you efficiently do it? Yes, that's a great question. And it's all about the instruction, isn't it? I mean, you just have, sometimes you have to spell out every single little thing. Okay, so we're going to move into a large circle. I want the back row just to stand up and move back. I want the front row to stand up and move forward. And I want the middle row to split in the middle and go to the sides. And then take hands with your neighbor and make a big circle. And we're going to do that without talking. And we're going to do that from 5 down to 1. Ready? Go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Never mind. Okay, yeah. Yeah, but you kind of have to make it a game a little bit, right? And then sometimes it's just get there. Everybody go to the board right now, go, bam. And then just, you know, let them be wild for a second. And then now walk, tiptoe back to your seat. So you kind of, some of it is just thinking, how can I make it different for them? And so that they have to keep listening, right? Because, I mean, if you've got an hour, I don't know how long you have with your kids, I kind of have 50 minutes of real rehearsal time. And that's a long time for first graders, especially, right? That's a long time. But they've got a 5th grader next to them, and that helps. And I've got parents in the room, and that helps. But they're actually usually the ones that are more, because it's new to them, right? Me and my crazy energy is a little bit new to them. And the big kids are really, really good at being teachers, you know, because they have been there and they kind of know what it is. All right, let's take a look at This Is the Day. So, I've never talked to Mark about how he likes this to be, but I know how I like it to be. I like it to be all about the rhythm and words. And so I kind of make it a little bit choppy, some of it. So, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And then that's my wrong pitch, and I do that every single time. This is the day that the Lord. I take that tie and I just cut it in half because I like the energy with that T. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. That's still one right. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Say again.
She was telling me what you just said.
Oh, about the rest, about the MS and the melody. And I'm sorry, I do that every single time. There it is. Let us rejoice. So that's one that I I teach at the board and do solfege, and they get it better than I do. Okay. But isn't that fun? I love that. And then the clapping and the stamping, they love that, right? And when we clap, we try to clap in a beautiful musical way. So, let us rejoice, let us rejoice, let us rejoice, and be glad. And we try that, and of course the first graders are kind of, but we try to make it look pretty. Let's try it. Ready? So it's 2 claps, and you keep this hand kind of still, whichever one is your smart hand. So it's probably, let's see, it's probably this way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry, again, I have to be backwards. Ready? Go. Let us rejoice, let us rejoice, let us rejoice, and be glad in it. Okay, does that make sense? So, and you can do that, I mean, it's kind of cool, and if they think about it, if you say, we wanted this to look really pretty, and we also want it to sound really pretty, what can we do? And they actually probably made that up, so that's what we do from then on forever and ever. So, this piece again, it's another rondo. I love that. But it's beautiful. And so, let's just sing it, shall we? One more time. She's here all day.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sure.
This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice, let us rejoice, let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day for worship. This is the day for song. A day to praise our gracious Lord, who loves us all life long. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice, let us rejoice, let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is a day for sharing. This is a day for prayer. A day to talk with one who listens, the one who's always there. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice, let us rejoice, let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made.
What is that last line? Duh, and it's a coda. Yeah, exactly. Very good. So, thank you.
Yeah, look at her go.
Thank you. So, one of, oh, coda. I love it. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Coda. Oh, coda. So, a couple of things about this one. I absolutely love page 5. This is our day for sharing. That's a perfect place to put a little bit of American Sign Language in, right? You've done all the clapping and the stamping, but that's a time when, this is our day for sharing, and sharing, soft on the ing, right? This is our day for prayer, and they can do that, and talk about making the moms cry, it does. Day to talk with one who listens. Right, you just gotta kind of think about those things because it adds to the legato thing because you just move in legato ways. And then you go right back into this is the day that the Lord has. And it's real funny because, you want them to be as animated as you are, right? Are they ever? No, most likely not. But on this one, they get that way. I say, okay, home, look in the mirror, and make sure that your face is doing what not you. This is the day that the Lord has made. You gotta do that, right? And they do, and some of them actually kind of go, I looked in the mirror, it was really cool, and I'm gonna try to do it like that. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now, let's see. I haven't been turning these things. Okay, so there we go. Come, let's sing. It's benediction, another rondo and a coda. I gotta give you thanks. Melody, phrasing, crescendo, but on the long notes, and another rondo. Hello, there's pattern. And this rhythm, benediction, contrast, legato, non-legato, major, minor, and it's a rondo, surprise. Okay, so this is what a lesson plan really looks like for me, is this. So, what I did is I'll have, the date of the rehearsal, all the repertoire that's possible for that season, except I didn't go to Christmas this day because this is the kickoff day, remember? So I don't have that long. So I'll probably put my Christmas things in for the second rehearsal, which will be after Labor Day. Okay, but then I take the parent kickoff meeting rehearsal, yoga stretches and vocal warm-ups. We didn't do that in here. If we have time, we'll do that. Because that's what you do every single time at the front. Then I take the lesson plans that you have in your book, and I've lost my handout all of a sudden, that's weird. Oh no, maybe that's it right there. So I take It Is Good to Give Thanks to the Lord that's in my file on my computer, right? I open that lesson plan. I open all 4 of these lesson plans. They're open on my computer down at the bottom, right? So I click on the one that says, it is good to give thanks to the Lord, whatever, it's good to give thanks to the Lord, there. And I copy the first, the 5-minute lesson thing, and I paste it into my lesson plan document. Click, and then I erase the things that I don't need to be sitting there. Like, I don't need the whole, I don't need Andrew, I don't need all that stuff. I just need the name of the song. I erase super energetic, super consonants. I erase 5 minutes, but before I erase 5 minutes, I add 5 minutes to 11:05 to get 11:10. Does that make sense? And then I go to the next song, and I click that button, and then I copy that next bit that I want to do, and I paste it into the new document, into the lesson plan document. And then I keep, y'all, I have hundreds of songs, lesson plans done on my computer, so that in 5 years, when all these kids have graduated and I want to do this song again, it's already done. I've done the work. So now I can be lazy. Or I can read a book, or whatever. I can go take an exercise class. Yeah, that's not happening. Okay, so, but do you see what I mean? And so once you've done a song, you've done the song, and you can always go back. Now, as you do it, at first, especially, you might kind of say, oh, that really took me 8 minutes, not 7. Or it took me 10 minutes, not 5. Right? And you can adjust it on this one, so that next time you do it, you'll remember, okay, that took me a little bit longer, but I don't remember that because I've changed it right away. Does that make sense? Okay? And so to get your total minutes of teaching, you're going to go to, it's good to give thanks to the Lord. It's going to take me 5, 15, 25, 30, 40, 50, 55 minutes to teach this song. Okay? I've got Come Let Us Sing, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Oh yeah, that's probably a lie. Okay, so it's going to be a little longer than that. But 35 minutes, right, to sing, to teach the song. Okay, so then 10, 20, 30, you add it up, and that's how you know, by looking at your calendar, if you've got enough time to teach these pieces, or if you need to alter them in some way. As I said earlier, things that you can do to alter a song. You could leave off the C section in the coda, or put the coda at the end of the B, and the A after the B, right? If you don't have time. You can teach a small group of people to do that last little C section, so it's a special solo for them. Your 5th graders or whatever, right? You could not, if it's a song with verses, you could not learn all the verses. Learn 2 verses and do the first verse twice. If you're singing in a foreign language, you could do 1 verse in Spanish, 1 verse in English. Repeat the Spanish, it makes you look really smart, but not learn everything in Spanish. Does that make sense? Or German or whatever, right? And that's, okay, this is my humble opinion as a choral director. When you purchase this piece of music, now I've lost my music. Anyway, when you purchase this piece of music, that means you can do with it what you need to do to make it work for your program. Okay? Now, you're not gonna take it and put your name on it, right? And if the person that wrote it is gonna come to hear your song, then you probably wanna do more like what's on there. Or at least tell them, okay, we're leaving off the C section, or whatever, and how often is that gonna happen? Never. But maybe it would, but not really. So does that make sense? And so that's why I don't feel at all guilty, because I think that person, Michael next door, wants me to sing his music, right? And so if I just sing the A, B, and the A, and put the coda there, he's not gonna mind that we didn't sing the C. He's gonna get it. He's gonna say, oh, she had a kid throw up. It's, life happens. But does anybody have questions about this process, about taking what you've done for each song, copying and pasting into what you're gonna do that Sunday? Or that whatever day it is, yes.
Would you teach this many, would you take all 4 of those songs and a Christmas?
Not on this first day, I wouldn't add the
Right,
Christmas
not
yet.
on the first day, but
But yes.
I guess I'm just, you just went through, it was 55 minutes for the first one, you said 35, but practically 40 or 45.
Yeah.
And if you added at the time for all 4 of those songs, all of a sudden, that's your whole fall.
Right, exactly.
And you haven't taught any Christmas, you haven't taught, so,
Well, no, but I would have made adjustments if that
Okay.
were the case. If that were the case, I would have made adjustments. You're right, you're exactly right.
okay.
So, let's say that this whole total is, what did you say, 50?
I think you said 50 for the first one,
50,
35 for the second, which you
35.
said was unrealistic.
It's probably 40. Okay, so let's say 50, 40, that's 90. The next one, this is the day, I'm not gonna add that right, but let's say it's 50 again. So that's 95 minutes. Come let us sing, let's say it's 50. So that's only 145 minutes. I've got 500,
Okay.
which gives me time to clean up
Right.
the accident that happens or whatever, and I don't mean that to be mean, but things happen, right? Or somebody starts crying because they miss their mom or whatever, and you have to stop and you then might not get through your whole lesson plan. But yeah, that's plenty
Because
of
I'm trying
time.
to plan, in my mind.
Exactly.
How much can we get done?
Yeah. Now, what you have to think about is if it is good to give thanks to the Lord is gonna be sung in that October or that late September spot, you gotta teach it, you gotta think carefully about that first song. It's gotta be fun, it's gotta be quick. So that might be the time that you cut off the C-section, maybe, or just pick a different song, right? But those, when you think about it, if it's a rondo and you teach the A section, you're almost done. You're almost done, right? Now, do my children use music in their hands when we sing? No, they're memorized. And guess what? They've got it memorized the first time we sing. That's why, this is an important nugget, that's why it's important that when you sing it for them the first time, that it's exactly how you want them to sing it forever, because that's how they will sing it forever. So sing it musically, sing it with the consonants that you want, and learn the pitches like I didn't on that one song. When it's with the piano, it's always right? It's just that it's a cappella, I don't get that, yeah.
Did you, in this session, put up the thing where you had your whole fall mapped out?
I
with those?
did.
Okay.
With the minutes?
Okay, yeah.
Yes, I did. I put it in, I didn't have it in the beginning, at your beginning, so I thought, I gotta have that in, because it's important to see that part of it, that part of the planning process. So, did y'all get this? Okay. So let's look, because this is one that I know I had to change. So let's look, up and back, it's good to give thanks to the Lord, yes, up and back, that's right. Come let us sing, that's down at the bottom, it's up and back. How can I give you thanks? Spa sit, yep. But I think, yeah, this is the day, spa sit. But because we just did a spa sit, that's why I changed it. So that would be standing tall in a circle. You're ready to stand up tall, get in a circle. And I probably wouldn't ask them to take their music, because look what I'm doing. I'm just basically asking them to listen to me sing. I want you to count how many times I sing the word, this is the day. Yes?
So what you're doing is keeping them active through the entire time.
Absolutely.
While learning a piece of music at the same time.
Right. You switch music and you switch their position. And it can be their position in the room, or it can be their sitting position. Or if you're on the floor, crisscross, lay down, lean back, you know, and sometimes you kind of have to do that, let them just lay down for a minute. I mean, I know I have to do that sometimes during musical rehearsals. It's like, okay, everybody lay down and just listen to what I'm saying. Keep your eyes open, don't fall asleep, but lay down just for a second. Because if we've been doing a lot, you know, of something and they're tired, that sometimes I give them a little lay down break, but not long and not often. But see how I had to make that adjustment, because as it fell in my rehearsal, it would have been 2 faucets in a row, which is not a smart thing to do. Does that make sense? I'm seeing your eyes kind of going, yeah, sort of.
Maybe we need to lie down on the floor.
No, it's about that time, isn't it? Okay, nap time. All right. So this takes some time at the beginning, but as I said earlier in the other session, this is July. If you're a school teacher, you're kind of a little bit off, maybe, unless you have young kids, then you're not ever off. But it takes a minute now. But if you do 1 song a day, let's say that your whole year you're going to do, I don't know, 6 songs in a musical. At this point of the year, I'm not doing my planning for the musical at all. I'm not thinking about that right now. But I am thinking about the anthems that I'm going to teach. So I make sure that if I haven't got a plan already for it, and I've been doing this a long time, so I have plans for lots of things. If I haven't got one, I make one. If I do have one, I look at it again and think, could I have done that better or different? And change it if I need to. All right? But once you do it, then you're totally set. It takes care of everything. And that time that you spent now, you'll get it back in some way that's unexpected. You know? You'll get it back in a way that's unexpected someday when all of a sudden an appointment's canceled and you're like, I have 2 hours of free time. Yay! It's payback for that work I did in July. Okay, so that's how I think about things. And I think about, I say that thing, thank you for your time. When parents volunteer, I always tell them, thank you for your time. God will give it back to you in an unexpected way. You know, and let me know when that happens. And I have actually gotten messages from parents, you know what you said about that, God will give me back that time. I did. I got it back, you know, this other day. My kid got sick, I didn't have to go to work, and I got that time back, and they were asleep the rest of the time, you know, so, you know, it happens sometimes. Okay, so I was gonna show y'all, those of you that were already at the other session, what time is it? Oh, I'm terrible. Ooh, 2 minutes.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay, so just real quickly, those of you in the other session, this is a repeat, but this is what sits above my desk. I have Sunday at the center because Sunday is the center of what I do, because that's when my rehearsals are. But whenever your center is, if it's Wednesday or whatever day it is, that should probably be at the center of your calendar. But I have tasks outlined for each day. These are the things that I need to do on Monday every week. These are the things I need to do on Tuesday every week. And I have organized it that way because then I don't get to Thursday and think, oh my gosh, I didn't do this, I didn't plan that, I didn't, you know, get that done. So if I break it up myself to do the things that I've got to do on each of those days, that has been a lifesaver for me. This has probably been in my life for about 3 years, which isn't very long when you think about how long I've been doing this. But it really has made a difference. And then on Sunday, it's just the stupid stuff that your brain doesn't need to think about. Get the cards ready. And then, but if I don't have to remember to get the cards ready, then it saves me that 5 minutes of what do I need to do next? You know, I just have it all written down, what I need to do. Remember that you are touching hearts every day. I found that note on my door one day, and it changed my life. Because when you get in the middle of all this stuff, sometimes you forget that the reason you're doing all this stuff is so that you can touch people's hearts and lives, right? This is the other thing that changed my life. I was blessed a few years ago to have a woman come into my life to help me get organized in huge ways, and because I do a lot. This is just my church work, and so it's all my categories. This is my children's choir programming. This is the choir that I actually conduct. This is the kindergarten choir, the preschool choir that I oversee. I don't conduct them because it happens at the same time. My special needs choir, my acolytes and bell banners, my handbell choir, my senior citizens choir, the musical, and some of these things say inactive for July. I'm not worried about the musical right now. Yeah, this is July. But anyway, what we did is we spent a year making this. This is what I call my strategic calendar. And we just timed out, when does stuff need to happen? When do you need to order t-shirts? How much pizza do you need to order for a kickoff? I mean, those numbers, so you don't have to think about it anymore. Okay, there's 8 pieces of pizza in each pizza. I'm gonna have about 45 kids, so 8 times 4, you know, I mean, right? But if you write it down and you've got it somewhere, then you don't have to remember it later, and your brain can go, I know what to do. It's, what I call it is, Christmas comes every December. Why do we get panicked about it in November? You can think about Christmas in July, and it makes it all better.
ornaments.
Yeah. But like, right now, for Christmas, for Advent and Christmas, I'm looking for a pregnant lady right now at my church. I'm not kidding. I'm looking for baby Jesus right now. And she's about like here, you know? So I'm like, oh, when's your baby due? When's the baby due? You know, and I will often, if there's a staff person, and doesn't that sound stupid? But that's what I do. I mean, that's why I do it, because then I'll have about a 3 or 4 month old baby Jesus, and that's pretty good. Sometimes it's baby Jessica, because it's a girl, but anyway, so that, I mean, it's that kind of silly stuff that allows me to do all of this, because I wrote it down, and I don't have to think about it anymore, I just have to do it.
I wanna know how you got it cleaned up.
Isn't it awesome? Okay, so, and I can't really, it's an Excel sheet, this is an Excel sheet, and it's something about telling the printer that you want it to be 11 by 17, and then it paginates it, it makes it come out. And so you have to cut it apart and put it back together to be this big. So it's taped, yeah, it's taped.
Oh, yeah, I see it, okay. I can do it.
But it's 11 by 17. Now you could do it on a 8 by, I mean, you could do it tiny, but I need to be able to see it. So that would be too small for my eyes. So. That's right here.
Oh, okay.
Here's the rest of the year.
Wow.
You know, I mean, there's a million different ways to do this. This happened to be the way that we figured out that would be most helpful for both of us, because she was also the person that would go, okay, let's look at the list. Have you done this? Have you done that? So, okay, red means I don't have to do it. That means she has to do it. And the purple is me. It's sort of, it's dark, but it's purple. And then green is the different things. It's sort of purple. That's my favorite color, so it makes me happy to think about that I'm going to do all these things. So, time.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.